when we decided we were talking about our wins right before the cameras started rolling, and we decided to do
Combo win.
a combo win, so take it away.
Well, no, we would say it together. We're talking it's
We're talking at
K-Biz,
is.
which this is gonna come aired after K-Biz is done, but we just got off a call.
We just got off a call, and it's nuts, and so if you do not believe in talking things into existence and your intentions, like 10 months ago when we started talking about this doing something together, which evolved into this podcast, we thought, wouldn't it be wild if next year for KBIZ 2025 we were able to speak or do something there? And so,
And I was
what
like,
are we going to be doing?
it's called a BHAG,
Yeah,
big, hairy, audacious goal,
it was
which
our
seemed big, hairy, and audacious. And now
and
we're talking
we're doing
2
it.
times,
Yeah.
maybe 2 guests we get to. So anyways, that
We
we are
really don't know all the deets yet. We literally are flying high because we just got off the call, but we're going to interview some rad designer
rad designer and some rad vendor
and some rad
and
vendor. So
introduce them to you guys,
we don't know
hopefully,
who
and learn
they
more
are.
about them ourselves. Yeah, we get to learn.
Yeah.
And the reason we are getting to do this is actually about what our episode was supposed to be about, which was a little C.Next wrap up and how fabulous that was. And so the fact that this all happened in this, like, anyway,
It's
I love the
kismet.
universe. Love
It's kismet.
it is. So
So C.Next is, for those of you who don't know, it's Cosentino. They do an event. They have C.Next fabricators where they invite all of the stone fabricators that install their product around the United States,
and
right?
Cosentino is the lot
What did I
company.
say?
Well, no, C.Next, but like
Oh,
Cosentino
sponsors.
sponsors, like,
Yeah.
so for
They
the
don't even
fabricators
just
that
sponsor.
I mean,
It's like their
they
thing.
yeah, it's they put the entire thing together and then bring in these fantastic
Yeah.
other, vendors for us to learn from. But anyway, so I just meant so for the fabricator part because it was
Oh, yeah.
that tie in the why.
Yeah, that's great. So, I'm sorry that I left that part out. So, Cosentino is a countertop company. They have the most amazing products that can be used for cladding, flooring, countertops. The
Showers, yeah, showers.
more and more applications, really. And so they invite the fabricators, which I think is awesome because then the fabricators know all the new products that we're about to bring to them.
And
Is
if you
that
don't know what
genius?
it's brilliant, but, like, so fabrication, which is if you're not in the construction side of it,
Mhm.
it's the ones who come and actually take the slabs and put the sinks in and put it on your counters and do all those fabulous things on your countertops. So because I before I really knew construction very well, I didn't know what a fabricator was.
Exactly.
And so if you have a great fabricator, it makes a world of difference. And
Yeah.
so the fact and their products are so unique, and so learning how to use them.
Is and
So
for them to be installed properly, right? Yeah, because if not, no bueno.
mhm.
And then the second half of the week, they do C.Next designers, and we just got back from that. And I know, was this your 4th time to go, I
Only my
think?
3rd.
Your
This was their 4th year, but that was, I guess, a small, very intimate, great group of designers, and I am not in
Stop it.
that is not my wheelhouse. So I got to come the next year, but yeah.
And so you've been 3 years. This is my first time to go. I was supposed to go the previous 2 years, but some, challenges with aging parents and that sort of thing, made it so I had to back out both years. But this year was sort of it was neat
It was very neat.
to be able to go, and
And will you continue going?
so I said, I mean, I'll never miss. It is between High Point Market, where we learned so much about furnishings and what's coming out that's new and trends, and we put eyes on things and bottoms in seats
Yeah.
for sit tests. I will never miss C Next. I just
I
won't.
don't
Are you ever gonna miss it?
I don't think so. It was so funny analogy, but, I ran Boston one year, and I was going back the following year, and my grandpa said, "Well, I thought you already did that one. Why would you go back?" And I'm like, "If you get in a like, you go if you're invited. What are you talking
What
about?"
are you talking about?
If I yeah, this is that's what I feel like at CNext. If they continue to give me that, like, "Okay,
Extend an
I'm gonna be
invitation?
on the email as soon as it opens,"
Mm,
which
yeah.
if you are interested, it sold out fast this year, so, be on your ready for your email
Yeah,
when
2 weeks, I think they
they
said it
said
sold
yeah,
out, and
because it's a small group, right? We only had, what, 350 people total, and 200 of those designers or something like that this year. We'll have to
yeah.
get the exact numbers, but
But really what I was struck by, and they talked about it several times during the week, is the amount of love that goes in putting C.Next together. And from the minute you step off the plane, this year it was in, Cancun, Playa
Mhm.
del Carmen, and you had a driver that picked you up. When you got to the hotel, there was somebody who made checking in very easy and your bags were whisked off. And then you checked in and downloaded the app and got your little arriving party favor and your cocktail. And everything was so seamless. And you got assigned a butler. Okay, so I have to talk about this. So the very first day when I've and my butler's name was Roberto. What was yours name?
Guillermo.
Guillermo.
Oh, he was a doll.
So the very first day, I realized the power of Roberto because, Casey, you were so nice to pick up my shoes at the shoe hospital because I had these shoes at the and then we had that snowpocalypse thing happen, so I couldn't go pick them up, but the shoe hospital was right by your house, and you picked them up and brought them in your suitcase. Well, I had to wear them that very first night. I mean, those are my first night shoes, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're 2 buildings away. How am I gonna do this?" So I asked Roberto on my WhatsApp to go to your room, gave him your room number, and he just whisked in, took them, and brought them back to me. So right after that, I sent a message to my husband and I said, I have my own butler. I'm not coming home. And his response was, that tracks. I love you.
Well, let's just first say that you also texted, "My butler is coming to pick up my shoes," and I came back with, "Have you ever in your life texted those words?" Because I've never received a text that said something like that. "My butler is coming." It was
It
hysterical.
seemed so normal though when I typed
It
it. But when I went back and read it and I was like, oh my God,
but to that
says
point,
that.
they made it they
Yeah.
everything was just such a,
Yeah.
quiet luxury. I just heard that and I loved the phrase.
Yeah.
That is actually what C Next
It
kind of
is.
instills in you. It is
It is.
quiet luxury because nobody's slapping you over the face with, "Look what we did."
Nope.
They just make it so that's what you're doing, and you don't even realize how catered to and taken care of you are,
Yeah.
and that's the quiet. That's the goal we want for to give our clients, right? So that's why going to these things is so huge. You
So
get to live
amazing.
it because, we talked a little bit about our backgrounds and stuff, but, I didn't grow up even close to what we
Mm.
so you need to know how that client is being treated and how they should be treated, and if
And what they feel like when they
when they do
experience quiet
experience,
luxury.
yes, and
Yeah.
so, yeah, it kinda comes around, so, yeah, that and so you got your shoes, and it was the white party, and
The white party
which, oh my gosh,
was just unbelievable.
who
It was
sponsored the white
so
party?
who did sponsor the white party? I don't remember.
Was it Perlick for the white party?
I don't know. Maybe Pearl.
I think Perlick, which, oh my
But
gosh,
and so when we say white party, so we go out to this tent, it's on the beach, and it's the lights are strung beautifully, and the tables are long with these beautiful floral arrangements,
stunning.
and everybody had a place card, so, there's something about being expected, and I've talked about that a lot in my life, that when you go through periods of depression or you do have imposter syndrome or you feel like you're somewhere that maybe you shouldn't be, and then you find out that you're
Mm,
expected,
that does
that it really transforms you from the inside out, and I think that's what a place card says. It says, Rainey, Casey, we knew you were going to be here and we purposely sat you by these people and it was intentional. And then I don't eat beef or fish. And so my meals that came out were different than everyone
was
else's, but they knew where I sat. They knew my dietary preferences. And again, quiet luxury.
it is quiet luxury. God, I hadn't even looked at it like that, just those little moments when they're taking care of you in such a way that nobody else at the table. Because saying you don't eat meat or saying you're gluten-free or dairy-free, which is sort of my song and dance, I never want people to say, so I'll typically have to follow the waiter out when they ask the table,
Yeah.
"Has anybody here got allergies or
Yeah.
anything?" I
You're
sit
just
quietly, and
whispering.
then I just go and kinda
Hmm.
shuffle along because I don't want that to be that's not the reason they're at dinner, so I love that because they asked ahead of time, they asked all the questions, and
They did,
Patty, 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 Patty
and all of that was it was
just
just
knew
really amazing.
they
And then we had the meal, and then fireworks go off over the ocean. I mean, I I can't even begin to tell you how spectacular,
it's so and just
it
see an
was.
entire So, you're told beforehand what to wear, so the white, is just for that, so everybody is in
Everyone.
white. And for designers, that's tricky because you wanna maybe bring your own pizzazz, and people follow the rule. I
Mhm.
mean, it is white, and you bring it out, maybe your shoes or an accessory, but it's the most beautiful thing of all these,
It is.
350 people,
It
and it's a
is.
fun night and music, and anyway,
All
and
of the
that's a
things.
kickoff, like, that's how it
That's how it
starts.
starts. And then the next morning, you start out, we went to what was our meeting room, and they had theme music, the same song that played throughout the entire time that let you know it was time to go into the next
Mhm.
panel or, it was time to celebrate, and one of the moments that r and you had food and drink, like,
Yeah.
whatever
Oh,
like, if
because
you
Mila
thought
was there with their coffee, and which if they come out
pan
and they're amazing, but they had their coffee machines, which were killing it, and people I mean, the line for that, thank God they both most well, they're so gracious, but, and then the food, and then
Right,
just
you would think, "Oh, I would like to have some fruit right now," and you'd look over and there would be a spread of fruit, not a tiny bowl of fruit, but a spread of fruit. It was just magical, and then, I remember when oh gosh, what was his name from Cosentino where he talked about the,
Paco or the oh,
Valentine.
Valentine.
Oh my gosh, the most precious man from Cosentino, and he got up on the first day and he talked about the new products. And again, the love in that because he was literally saying all of the things that I was thinking about their products, like some things that I would love to see. They haven't talked to me. Obviously, they've talked to all sorts of designers, and obviously, they've done their homework, but out of love, translucency or different characteristics of the materials. And you're sitting there looking at them on the screen, right? They have digital images and then all of a sudden, over to your right, smoke starts going up and there's all this fanfare, and these doors open up, and we get to go in and actually touch and feel the new
The new products,
products,
which
and it's
was
like, "Oh,
it was unbelievable. I smoke, I thought somebody's vape was going off or something. I'm like, "What's happening?"
somebody's on fire up
And
there on the show."
I'm such a geek, so I don't wanna be in the front row because that's, of course, for the all of the Cosentino's crew and then Carrie Kelly and all these amazing people. Then there's a spot where I feel a little bit too eager, so I'm the 3rd one back,
Which is so funny because
ideally.
I chose the 3rd row
It's
too,
so in the
and we,
on the
like, sat
aisle.
across the
Yeah,
aisle
it was
from each
awesome,
other.
and so
Yeah.
we just sat, but in that first day, Paco Cosentino,
Oh,
he is the founding father, or his father founded it, but
yeah.
he really has taken this, and he shared his story, and it was amazing because they have headphones because, of course, he's, from
Speaking Spanish,
Spain, and
yeah.
so he told his story, and it was so fun to hear, like, he would speak, and then the translator would come in, and then the place would erupt with either, like, a "Ah," or a laughter because he is so gracious, and I mean, what he has done in his story, just his fervor, like 3 attempts at different products, and most people would have said, "Absolutely not,
Mount.
I'm out," but, he had his dream, and he had for his father family, and then for his kid, his then nuclear. It was special. I love
The
that so
family
much, and
story.
Eduardo
So
up there, and
did you hear that theme sort of throughout that there were so many family
it's
businesses and it
beautiful.
was celebrated? And I think that's interesting because I think in today's age, family businesses, it's almost like, well, you haven't made it, you just have a little family business. And throughout that entire thing, it was
Yeah.
celebrated.
Yes, you're
Did
right.
you notice
Ab
that?
I Yes, because they make I think it's such a like a thread through their quilt. They kind of bring the people that
Partner
Cosentino
with them.
partners with on this is truly that is the group that they're bringing in. It's very special. Like Kohler,
Yeah,
they had Laura Kohler speak last year, and Brittany was there this year for Kohler. Just that family business. I mean, you don't think of Kohler,
but it
but
is.
that's a family business
It
too.
is a
And I
family
mean,
business.
we have how many 20 the vendors that we loved that were all they're family run. So
Mhm.
you you had a favorite,
Mhm.
and I'm curious.
So I loved Urban Bonfire. It is so outdoor kitchens. We live in Houston, Texas, and we have some challenges with our climate, right? Hot as hell and dusty and dirty. And so we do these
Please come. No,
yeah,
just kidding.
come on, next catch the next flight. But we all of these multi-million dollar they want outdoor kitchens. My experience with outdoor kitchens is that they're lovely to have, but they get so dirty and the sinks get crusty. And then you don't want to open the stainless steel doors underneath because God only knows what's under there. In my experience, it becomes like a storage facility for pull toys or just
And
crap for the
yeah.
backyard that you just want to shove in, right? And so I'm always like, oh, do we have to? Can we just, is there a place where you would like to just pull out your grill or have your green egg and we'll just call it good? But one of the nights, to the organizational point, you looked at your app and you were to report to a certain restaurant. I think there was 9 or 10 restaurants in this resort, right? So we were supposed to go to the Frida restaurant at 7:15. We walk in and we're escorted to a table, and Urban Bonfire is our host. So it's the 2 co-owners of Urban Bonfire,
Fawn and Ryan,
Stefan and
yes.
Ryan, and then Valentine from Cosentino happened to be at
Mm.
my
What a
table.
table.
Oh, girl, we had a table. And, there was, I think, 3 other designers at our table. They were sort of at the other end, and so, I didn't get to chat with them much, but we got into, "How did you get into this? What's your story? Why do you get up in the morning? What's the latest book that you've read that was impactful?" I mean, we had great
Oh, that's
conversation.
awesome.
But the thing about Urban Bonfire is that they do powder coated, custom measured and made outdoor kitchens that are also clad in Decton by Cosentino. They are custom made around whatever appliances whatever grill, whatever stovetop, whatever you have. There are sinks that totally close up. The faucet retracts down into the sink
And I was
and
just
has a
gonna
cover.
say on this, because we were
I can't,
because in the showroom with where they open the doors and it's
can't.
like this, there's this and we were trying to figure it out because often, the sink's up here and what do you do? And the sink is down I mean, the faucet is down in the sink that comes up, you move it around and goes back down so you can put a co
A
so
cover on it.
we were
I
going crazy over
couldn't.
that. These are the things that
That
yeah.
jazz us, right? These are the things that make us,
But that changed since last year's technology. Like, they're ever changing,
yeah,
right? They're like, "Oh, we heard this, so we're gonna do this."
we're gonna do this. But the idea that I can have a project where I have a space for an outdoor kitchen, send the measurements, they custom design it around the appliances that my client wants, and they deliver it, and all it has to do is be put in place and the appliances installed in 8 weeks.
Like, who does that?
I'm gonna say that one more time. 8 weeks, not 8 months. 8 weeks. And I was like, that was transformative for me because it is a space in my business that I don't embrace.
Right? That's it and what I loved oh my gosh, when Ryan was saying when he spoke at the lunch before that dinner and he
Yeah.
spoke to
Mhm.
we're here and we're all interior, it's an interior, but think of that outside as that, we talked about the fifth wall, but this is we that does tend to be an afterthought sometimes for designers because we're not sure what to do, who to spec, because it's such a, "What do
Or
we
it's
do
not a
here?"
favorite.
So now they've given us the tools to be like, "It's not our wheelhouse, but can you help us?" And they
They
like, it's
will. And
amazing.
it's like I was sitting there thinking, I need to introduce you to this landscape architect. I need for you to know this builder because I feel like it's a solution and it makes it reframes the backyard space for me. It really did. So, did you have a favorite?
Oh gosh, yes and no. I mean, yes, a lot. This one I really loved some of the tech. There was a lot of technology that I thought was really interesting that is ever changing. And although that is one example, the Free Power,
Ugh,
Jake from Free Power, who
your
we
life is about to be touched by free
oh my
power.
gosh, and we got to see him again at, a mastermind that oh my gosh, I swear we're
Cosentino.
not getting paid by Cosentino, but
Uh-huh.
they had, Patty interviewed him there, and that's where we first learned about it, like, 4 months ago. I was so impressed by Jake that I sent his video to my kids and, like, "Look at what this young gentleman did." So he's created a technology, after time and time again of waking up with a uncharged battery on his phone and being frustrated and all of that
Because
because
that hot spot on
because the
those
hotspot on bedside
port, yeah.
tables that they say are hotspots, they're really not, so then you wake up and you're like, "Oh, for the love of all things," and how connected we need to be at all times, and what he even had statistics, which I, of course, will not remember because that's not my bag, but the stress levels, the dopamine that goes up and down based on you being nervous about your phone and
Yeah,
not charged is a really big
big one.
psychological thing now for us. So, he created a technology that it is inserted in the fabricating portion into your slab, so your countertop. So you can have a huge space of it, can be a nightstand. He's got them where they're actually tabletop as well. But that one's a plug-in. But just transforming how we do that. So you've got a island and everybody's kind of wants to charge. There's one plug, and so now you've got everybody just puts their phones.
Yeah.
It's just enough
So
out
the
of reach
technology is, like, installed under the
under the
countertop,
counter.
and then it has little rectangles that light up, and you can have 4 phones there. As long as they're anywhere in the lighted zone, they're charging.
They're charging,
So I'm about to put 8 of them in a conference table, at a client project so that when people come in and they're around the conference table, they just lay their phones down and they're being charged.
which is amazing
Isn't
because
it?
people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They're not back there and you're not doing this and
Looking for your
wondering if
phone and the cords
yeah,
everywhere, and so he wasn't able to tell us all of the things, but I think they're gonna be in hotel nightstands, so we're gonna go in, this is gonna be part of our normal lives, we're gonna see this light, we're gonna know it's a place to charge your phone. They're gonna be in bars and hotels and in public places. We're gonna be putting them in homes, that's gonna be part of what we bring.
yeah.
It's
It's
gonna be transformative.
so exciting. So
Yeah.
that technology and just watching
Mhm.
what is sued from that. And he put them in our rooms at the hotel.
Oh,
And we were supposed to take a picture, tag them. And it was so funny because I wanted to tag them, but my phone was on the charger. So that was like, how do I take a picture? And then I realized I am addicted and totally reliant on my phone for
yeah.
all things,
For
right?
all of the
Because it
things.
has everything in it. So that was in it. Yeah. So I really liked that a lot. And then Lutron, which we've both talked about,
Lutron, so
their experience.
the breakout sessions. So one afternoon we had breakout sessions and it was Heston, Mila,
Hmm.
and
And Lutron.
Lutron. And Mila's was kind of cool. They did a tabletop decorating contest, and Tom Felicia was in my group. So
Oh,
he
so
had
you're winning,
no, 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 no. He was in my so they divided us into 3 groups for us to round robin through the
right?
experiences. So Tom Felicia was in my large group, but I wasn't broken down into his group for tabletop, and let me just tell you, he was climbing over fences, getting greenery, you should have seen what he created. I'm telling you, it could have been on the cover
I
of
saw
any magazine of any magazine. So, the group that won in each round robin session got a Miele vacuum cleaner, which how cool is that?
it's amazing, but didn't you say so many people jumped their own ship to go to his? So now that more
So now you brought up the scandal because I was a little butthurt over this because Tom Felicia's group had, I'm not kidding you, like 17 designers. My group had 6. And so what happened was I think everybody saw where he was and went to be in his group,
because you
but
just wanna
poor
be
Mila.
around him
Oh,
for
oh,
so many reasons.
oh, all
I
the
just wanted I
reasons.
mean, funny as
Yes.
talented, of course, we all know that, but just
And
you just
real
wanna hear what comes out of that man's
and
mouth.
real.
He's hysterical. So
Exactly.
and yeah, but he won for
He
them. So
yeah, and
sorry, Mila, but
everybody
you had to
got
give
well, there was
17.
other, very talented designers on that team too, I'm sure, I'm not taking anything away from them, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
And so Mila had to give up I don't know how many vacuum cleaners to
that
that.
is hysterical.
Yeah.
Ours was yeah, turned almost into a not a bloodbath, but you put that many designers who run their own business. It's a tricky.
It's
Yeah,
tricky.
everybody wanted to lead, and nobody
Yeah,
wanted to lead, kind of
yeah,
thing. You're like,
yeah.
and we all looked at it and was like, that's the saddest table here.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah, we should
Here's
be the
what I
ones
did.
vacuuming these other people's
Yeah.
stuff with their new vacuum.
Here's what I did is I just kinda stood back and I was the cheerleader because I wasn't about to get in that scene, I just wasn't gonna do
You're a
it.
smart woman.
Yeah, I was like, "Nah, not doing it." And then Heston, we had a great wine tasting with them and charcuterie.
And got to learn about how cool that
It's so
yeah, that Helen and Stanley, like how he named his company.
the
The HES, and that
HESTAN.
yeah, for
Mhm.
her yeah, always put your wife first, I love that, and they've got yeah, their wines were fantastic, like, that whole thing was beautiful,
And they're
so
sending it
classy.
all of us that were attended, I think a case of
4
wine.
4 bottles I think we
Was it
get
4
from them, oh my
bottles?
god, and it was so good.
Whatever. I'm so thankful. And then I know that you loved and I loved too the Lutron
Yeah,
experience.
and I think Lutron is one of those brands that, it's been around for very many years, I think my parents bought a house years ago, that had a Lutron system in it, and nobody knew what to do with it.
Mhm.
It's so integrated that it's way above our pay grade in a lot of ways. So if you're just a homeowner who buys this house, you don't know if this button it can
Does
light up the entire house, or take it all there's just a lot of technology in
So I
it,
have to tell you, when I
robust.
first heard that Lutron was doing something, here was my first thought. You do not laugh. You're gonna laugh.
Oh
I
god, now I'm
thought
nervous.
I
Uh,
thought, "How are they gonna make shades, like window shades, sexy for a breakout?"
so do you only see them as a shade company?
S
Or I
Of
don't mean it like that.
course, I know them as a lighting company,
Right.
but that's where my brain
That's so
went
interesting because I
to.
don't go to that,
Isn't that
but now
wild?
I need to because they're integrated like crazy.
Their
Oh my god,
window
that's you're like,
treatments.
"What are we gonna
What are we just gonna put shades up and down? Is this what we're doing? And then we walk in and I mean,
So they've got it set up in this, the fact that they have to bring all this stuff to Mexico too,
I thought about that the whole
I'm
time.
always the
I was like,
logistics,
"What?"
I'm like, "How did you get this here?" Which the case of wine, hearing how, the wine from Heston got there was hysterical. Patty told it that Jake,
Free
it's all
Power
there.
Jake
Free for Jake. Oh my gosh,
got the
funny ass
wine.
story.
Okay.
Um, Almost got arrested, but didn't get the wine, so another fabricator had to get it done. It's
Uh,
a good Patty story. But you go in and it's all cushions and the lighting is lovely, of course, because it's a lighting company. And they got the music in the sound bowl. And they then walk us through a 15-minute process of taking the lights, and they've only got lamps and really no overheads because they couldn't, because it was just the
mhm.
hotel stuff. And they had, what, 10 different, pieces of art throughout, and they had us watching that and then also meditating, just feeling what it felt like to go from sunlight from dusk to dawn, essentially, with the light, because there was a gentleman who spoke to the lighting, which was so fascinating, and I'm trying to blank on his name, and I'll think of it, but he does lighting for stage lighting for all of these plays on Broadway.
On Broadway, he was
He was
fascinating.
fascinating, and after his talk, which was so impactful,
That panel was nuts with Young Hut
yeah, it
and
was incredible, right? And so
mhm,
after that was the breakouts.
mhm.
So then you go in and you felt what he was talking about, and sort of that morning light versus the nighttime light and the fire light, and how a lighting company has figured a way to bring these all into an app. She was just had her phone and she was just doing this, and the whole climate changes over you. It was
The
so
washover. I found myself
moving.
wanting to close my eyes because it was a sound bath with the 3 performers, and they were amazing. They had the sound bowls, and then when dawn was happening, you would hear a bird tweet, and then you would hear rain fall, and then you would and the light I have chills recounting it, um, and it inspired me because light is a huge part of design, and
Yeah,
I always say, I don't care how beautiful something is, if it's not well lit, doesn't matter.
right,
You just might as well save it because nobody cares. Nobody's going to care.
right.
But we often spec 2700 Kelvin as our temperature, right? We put
Mhm.
everything on dimmer so you can adjust whatever mood. I learned just how wrong I am because really they showed us 2700 Kelvin dimmed down to 1, 2, 3%. It's still 2700 Kelvin.
Didn't change how that painting looked necessarily,
Didn't change how you felt,
and how you yes, the wall didn't.
bizarrely, but when they changed to a really, really warm light, like a 2000 or 1800, I don't even know what it
I
was.
don't know the number, the pinkish,
I
like
don't
that
either.
rose color that then everything which, let's just talk about lighting and how important I was talking about the hotel, that
Can't.
it had lime green, and I don't wanna say much more than that except for this 52-year-old face with a fluorescent bulb and lime green.
Not good?
Do you remember the cover of, in Sex and the City when she thought she was on the cover and it was 40 and fabulous,
Yes.
question mark, instead of 40 and fabulous, like she thought? I was the question mark 40 and fabulous all weekend, and I was like, "Matt, I'm so sorry, Botox calling the dermatologist,"
All the
lighting
things.
is so
Mhm.
that was the one thing I was like, "You in these rooms, please do," because especially after that, you don't even
Mm-mm.
recognize how it affects you.
I'm never going to look at lighting the same again. After 25 years in the
Yeah,
industry, it was so impactful.
it was huge, and they made it to where you and I can do it, but there's obviously experts. We can't be the expert, but we can at least guide. So,
And we can know we need it,
yes, and then
and
we
that's
can
a
say,
starting
"Who do we
point.
call?"
Yeah.
Our lighting vendors and stuff all have access to that stuff, but it makes me so excited for people who have those Lutron systems in their houses, and you're not sure what to do. Is this so antiquated that we need to and you just sort of re-up the technology a little bit, and you're wired for it,
Yep.
but then wiring for it ahead of time, which is always
Wired and
something we have to
wiring,
think.
yeah. So I found out that there's an experience that you can go to in Austin, and I'm planning to do that. Would you wanna
Oh,
go
I
with
would
me?
super wanna go.
Maybe we should do a podcast from there.
And we can wrap Four Hands in, which is another vendor, and we
Uh,
weren't even gonna talk about them,
I can't
but we can't get
the
over how
cocktail
much we love
hour
her.
that Four Hands put on was
It
just
was so beautiful. It
y'all,
was and
everything.
I'm sorry, I got to sit at their table when you were over there with Bonfire learning about wonderful books, and we were dismantling our arrangements, taking them apart. I mean,
Were you that poorly behaved?
we were so poorly behaved
I'll
that
bet your
Lisa said,
dinner time was later.
"No." Oh, this was at the pit dinner with
Oh,
yeah,
oh, oh, oh,
sorry,
oh.
not pit, Danver and, Studio M
Oh, yeah,
Lighting,
yeah,
their
yeah,
dinner
yeah,
was
yeah.
so beautiful and
Was
fun.
that a dinner or I don't remember
The
it all
dinner
run
that
together.
that was the last night's dinner before we boogied our booties
Oh,
off.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So
That
I
was
was at Four
nice.
Hands
You were
table.
putting flowers in your
Not
nose?
flowers, other things. I mean, we were making necklaces. It was a whole thing, and poor Carisha Swanson, who I'm so sorry, she was at our table, but she was like, "Behave yourselves."
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need an adult at every table,
and
and
she was your
she
adult. She
had
was your
to. She
assigned
may have
adult.
laughed, though. But no, Four Hands, so we'll make that an outing to
Yeah,
Austin because
let's
I
do
think that'd be
that.
fun. Wrap
I
it into Round Top maybe, and
love it.
oh my
That would
god,
be
maybe
like a
we
whole
could take
thing,
designers and do a whole
a whole thing.
okay,
Okay,
pinch that. Anyways, so
brains running wild.
okay, so
Are
yeah.
there any other vendors that from C.Next that was just, like, something that you just took away, or
Well, I
have we
just
touched on the big ones?
Benjamin Moore, of course, is a
Uh,
company that we love and use, and their paint is so fantastic. But the last 3 that I've been to have brought an A game that is just unbelievable. And, Jose and Lauren from there, they up it
Lawrence.
each
Mhm.
time, right? And so, this time it was raining, and she was just like, "That's it, I'm not doing an outdoor thing in Mexico again," 'cause the first year I went, it was hotter than all hell. But it worked perfect to what they had done.
It
They
was
always bring in local, whether it's an artisan or somebody who's doing the yoga or doing the sound bowls or whatever, it's always people of that area, and so they did another one for us where we painted the
yeah.
mandalas? Mandala. You say
Mandalas?
mandala.
I don't know. If we said
Mandala.
that wrong, please don't be mad at
We're
us.
so sorry. It's spelled M-A and it's sounds M-O.
Uh-huh.
Mandala. But it really is just a way to take you out of your head a little bit, and we're painting, so it brings you into your breath,
Again,
it
we were
brings you in,
sitting on the
and we were
ground.
sitting on the ground, and
The
Rainey
setup
they
was
had a tent,
beautiful.
and it was so they had mats, and they had everything there for us,
Yeah.
and then they had the music, and the rain. First, they started us with a meditation where we laid on our backs, and
Yeah.
you listened to the rain, and then when came up from it, this
The
like,
rain
the rain had stopped. It
stopped.
was
It
magical.
was. I even again, back to the love and the expectation, when we had to walk from the hotel lobby out to this tent for this painting thing, and it was raining, they had this parade of white umbrellas that was so seamless. It was like I would have loved to have had a drone and have filmed that from the top because the umbrellas were coming back as people were
Beautiful.
pouring in, and it was just this stream of white umbrellas, and then we went to that tent and we had
I
the
love
guided
that, I forgot, I tr
meditation?
that and nobody would felt too precious, so nobody
Nope.
was really fussed about
N
getting their hair wet or anything, it
nope.
wasn't but they just you're right,
It
that quiet luxury, they just sort of
there it
took it
was.
on as their own and
There it was,
handled it, it
and you
was
didn't
really
miss a beat.
special. Yeah,
So, I
that's
sat
so
down on
good.
my mat
That was Grand Vilas, by
and
the way, resort, they were
amazing.
amazing.
I sat down and started painting my mandala, and it was they had one right there on your mat. So they were like a yoga mat, and then you had your setup of your own paints and your own brushes or your own brush and then water and your mandala. And I just started painting away. And somebody commented later that there were, I don't know, 150 designers under that tent, and you could hear a pin drops. There was not a sound because, and we just had primary color paints, right? Red, blue, yellow, green,
And
white,
white,
or
yeah,
something.
yep.
And so interestingly enough, for me, the f my I was feeling during the guided meditation sort of this lavender purple sort of moment. I don't know where it came from. That sounds woo woo, and I'm not that woo woo, but
Ooh, I love a little woo-woo.
so I mixed the red and the blue, and then I started from the inside and I did sort of this ombre effect and added more white as it went out, and it turned out really beautiful. And then at the end, you lifted up the side of your mat and there was the package for your mandala and it told you the meaning of yours, and mine was family.
Yeah.
And so my daughter Reagan, who works with us and is a degree designer, went on the trip with me too. And she had the same exact mandala. They were all mixed up, right? And she had painted hers purple.
Oh my god, you're
And it was like
oh,
this moment. It was this I mean, we had no idea until we saw each other at the end, and it was like, "Whoa." Anyway, again, quiet luxury, a moment set
I
aside,
love
and
that.
I wouldn't give back one moment of C.Next, would you?
No, no, and for their commitment to our industry,
Yeah,
the vendors they bring in
yeah,
and their commitments, I mean, there's names there are the big names, you
yep,
know, like Kohler Hurst was there, and they come and, oh my gosh, the
and
editors,
you can just
like
go up and talk to them.
they
People you would
Joe and Jen, like,
never.
never have access to, and they're just as gracious as can be, and
Oh,
so,
lovely.
like, everybody that's there, there's not a bad seat in the house
Mm-mm,
at all.
mm-mm.
You wanna touch and meet and hear about everyone,
That's exactly
and
correct.
you might be talking to somebody and you realize later I'm embarrassed to say, the first year I went, I was sitting in the back and because I was not sure, and the guy next to me, we were talking and whatever, and I didn't know it was Barclay Patera, like, because he's right there, and of course, I've seen him in every other thing, I've never sat next
Right,
to him.
right.
Like, "Wait, what?"
He was out of the magazine.
He
You only
wait, you
recognize him on TV and in the
exactly,
magazine.
and they've had Martin Billard and Mikhail
Yeah.
Welch was there. I talked to Mikhail okay, this is even worse. I chatted him up waiting for the shuttle.
Mhm.
"Oh my god, you're a gorgeous man." Like, "How do" look for me. I went, "Mm."
Yeah,
Yeah, and then they announce him. I'm like, I even
that's
said,
who you are.
"Are you a designer? And are you a" 'cause
Uh-huh.
there's all different industries there,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
He goes, "Yeah, out of LA." Just no pretense, and it just that's what it is, though,
yeah,
because they they just everybody wants the betterment of our community,
yeah.
so nobody's an asshole,
That's
and
exactly
that's why
right.
it was so
And that's what you
community-based
feel.
and
Mhm.
evolution, like, really technology and how we can be more better for the environment, that was
Mhm.
huge, and I know,
Yep.
to the point of what you
And the
started with which was, when he was up there speaking about what they were doing now new with Cosentino. They're so far ahead of the game as
so
far as their
far.
green, so
And I
much
did ask
recycled
Valentine at
water.
my dinner, I said, "Are y'all already developing for C-Next 2026?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, we have been. They're out about 3 years."
My gosh.
And that just made my mind just
Like,
explode. Yeah.
what will we know? Because we've gone exponentially,
In a year.
in a year,
Yeah.
right?
2
Technology and
years.
stuff. So,
And then I
how
think
about
the
you?
one other thing was it Dr. Leary
Oh,
with
yes.
Remedy?
Yes.
And Kohler, he has done a partnership with Kohler, and they have an integrated ice bath now for your home, which just mind blowing the technology before that.
Mhm.
And of course, it's clad in Decton,
Invicta.
as it should
I don't
be.
even think it should be clad in anything else, but yeah,
Exactly. But I think
that's
that brought us back to one of the things that you and I talked about, and that is sort of the focus of our industry that I felt at CNext, besides the love and the family commitment and also self-taught designers who have very big stages. I found that to be super
so
interesting.
interesting.
And then also this evolution in the home and about the home of self-care and wellness and what our home gyms look like and ice baths and
Oh, the
uh
infrared
infrared
saunas and stuff.
therapy, and there is a revolution going on in homes, and I think we're in the next year it's going to be
Exploded.
explode. It's
And
just going to explode.
I'm so glad you brought up Dr. Leary because he was at the top of my list, and then was so sorry, Dr. Leary, because we hunted you down and tried to wrestle you to the ground for questions. He couldn't get away. People and with all of the heavy hitters that were there, and this is no shade on anybody, but he was probably the most asked, I would imagine. I'd love to know
Mhm.
person after the thing about his stuff because it was all about the wellness and
Yeah.
how we integrate that into our lives.
Yeah.
And we're such an, social and being and how people are feeling less social than they've ever felt, even though we've got all these connections. And so his story was so fantastic and fascinating how he's gotten to this, opening these remedy
Clinic,
spas, clinics. It's not,
maybe not a clinic. That's not the right
and
word.
it's not, not
Experience.
experience. We're sorry, doctor. We'll be better next
Yeah,
time.
that's right.
And how he's created a social way for people to share their wellness. You might go to the gym with a friend, but then go get a drink after, or
Or you
people
go home and
or
be
you go home and
lonely.
that's it. And so this is really a way to take care of yourself socially in
Yeah.
an environment that's
There's
also
no estheticians,
beautiful.
there's no trainers,
Yeah, it's
there's
all
no
healthy.
all healthy. They have a bar, but it's with drinks that are good for you.
And what I thought was fascinating was the fact that, our skin is a live organ,
Mm,
so what we take through it, um, and, autoimmunes have been on the rise since all these years, and you know, my family's a lot of people in my family have them, and it really had me questioning things because and so when we're putting fabric on things, a chair that somebody's gonna sit on or a towel, what towels we're
thinking
using
about
in
that.
people's houses.
Yep.
Babies are drying off and stuff, and maybe the towel was on sale and cheap, but we really need to think about the detergent then that's being used because
Yes.
that
We
is
talked about
all
that.
being coming through, and I love that that was his focus, and then it would coming back now, we're gonna put a infrared sauna in a space that literally a homeowner, past client, were redoing their beautiful, beautiful home, and there's this sort of it's a large home and they, built-in desk area that nobody's gonna use, and we thought, "Well, we'll just deal with this at another time. Wait till you're in the house for a little longer and figure out what it could be a need for." Um, and then after this, it's gonna be
You
that.
were
So we're gonna
totally
rip
inspired.
everything out, and we're gonna make it sort of that wellness room,
Love it.
and I'm so flipping excited.
Super
So,
impactful.
like, the
Yeah, he was
importance of
talking.
going to these.
Yeah, is my and he was talking about, at the Remedy experience places, uh, that the scents and stuff that he pipes into them are actually life-giving and good for you, and they don't cause your hormones to spike or weird things, just to bring that point
No, you're
around,
right,
it
I
was
forgot.
fascinating.
And that was one thing we're like, "Are you gonna?" And I think they're going to start selling it because he says it's piped through
I
their
will be buying.
thing, and so that will be something we're doing in homes.
Yep.
So when you're in places and you're like, you're smelling pine salt, which makes my head spin, and Fabuloso, which people
Fabuloso.
love, but it's just toxins, and so those moments that you don't really think about
We are
integrating,
now.
but we really are.
Yep.
So I loved getting that brought into our stratosphere.
Yep.
But other than that, it was just powerhouse after powerhouse of information
Just
from,
mind-blowing.
oh my gosh, and then Bow Team, which we cannot say enough about their end of the weekend party that they threw, which was,
I'd never heard of them before, Casey. I don't know how I had not ever heard of them. Their cabinetry, they're out of
oh
Germany,
my god,
exquisite. I
exquisite.
cannot wait.
And, like, and Naomi and Eric, who they're a couple, they're
Precious.
precious, and they live in LA, and then, like, Luke is their rep out of Chicago, he's in Chicago, and they're
Amazing.
all over, and I felt the same way. I didn't know about them, and now I can't wait to figure out ways to use them because it's modern and it's beautiful and fun, and they're so fun. And again, another family business. So it's just like that was just the
That thread.
common thread through the
Mhm.
whole thing.
Yeah, I love that.
And then you came back
And
expired,
I hope I wasn't expired.
inspired.
No.
I was expired.
Yeah.
You were inspired
No.
because you didn't stay out this late. No, it was just
Stop.
anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't the partier in the evenings, but when I got back to Houston, I had design projects on my desk that just had to be efforted, and I've been putting together since I returned from C.Next some of the most amazing things, and it's just so impactful how trips like that can inspire you,
Don't you
and
think along that, and I know we're closing up, but we've got these projects, like you mentioned earlier episode, that, we're on these things for 18 months, and you make all your specifications, you make all your designs, and that's a year and a half of
yep.
technology that then you're putting old stuff in these houses. So as much as
Or your
we,
evolution as a designer,
yes,
that's
has
18
grown
months old.
of growth and things you've
Mhm.
seen and want to train, and so on one end, you want it all buttoned up and tight and great for you, the client, and the builder, but the other side, there has to be some room for a little flexibility because
Absolutely.
otherwise you're not getting your designer's
Current you.
most, like,
Mhm.
profound, like, aha moments of, "God, this would work great in your house. Oh, we've already got this. Why don't we just stick with it?" Like,
Nope.
yeah. So, anyway,
That's
so,
a really
the
good
going to
point.
these things are so important, and, like, art we were talking about before, and I just wanna make sure that this local artist, it's a student from LaSalle, I bought this at their art show. It's called A Wedding from the 1950s, and her name is Teresa, um, Honeychuck, which is probably the coolest name. I think I bought 3 or 4 of her pieces, but
It's
it gives me
exquisite.
something. It just gives me something. So,
I
there you
love the
go.
shadowing with the color, and it just makes you think. I love things that make you think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta know what they're talking about.
So another exciting thing for us is we have our first sponsor.
This is very
Yay!
week, you
Snaps
guys.
for
Yay.
us. It's Vacation Rental Design, and they are a group that helps designers really have the buying power and access to some vendors that they normally wouldn't have. They educate, they inspire, they're a community, just a phenomenal, phenomenal group. And so I encourage you to check them out. I know
Yes.
we have our commercial spots in all of our
But we
episodes.
just love them, and they are designers as well, but there's the niche part of it, which is so fun, is the
Yep,
vacation rental side, which I feel like, people don't realize, but
it's a whole
these
industry.
Airbnbs are where people are staying a lot, so having that done so well is huge, and you don't think about it, so
It's
the
huge.
space you're in, right? So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Vicky.
Thank you for
Thank you for
sponsoring
sponsoring us.
us.
We're so honored.
And so, if you want to send us a message, ask us anything about art, give us some topics that you'd like for us to talk about, please message us at hello@reframingdesign.com, or you can follow me at Rainey Richardson Interiors on Instagram.
And me at Cassandra_brand_interiors on Instagram, or you can email yeah,
Email us.
at hello.
Please, when you listen to our podcast, subscribe, like us, share us, all of the things so that we can get into
Yeah,
more people's homes
ear
and
ears.
ears. And thank you so much. And until next time, ask yourself if there's something in your life that you would like to reframe. Thank you.